things have so much fanfare, and it's like sound and fury signifying almost nothing because they're not looking or doing anything in the right places yet. Now, we're going to put a clock on that. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to say how long. We're going to put a clock on that and see to what extent those efforts really begin to drill down where the corruption is. And also if the Department of Justice and the White House and Congress actually moves in the direction it must go in. Now, there's some developments in the last 2 weeks I can't speak about that would indicate that things are moving in a good direction, right? And my hope is that we'll actually begin to see some real changes with these investigations that are going on. Not what you're hearing about in Congress. I mean, the Congress at this point and the nonsense going on with the people trotting up there telling half-truths, lies, and nonsense. That's not going to go anywhere. But on a level of federal investigation, law enforcement, prosecution, et cetera, there is significant movement because they now realize these programs really are illegal. Basically, what we concluded by 1994, we had concluded these were illegal operations. And now they're going, yeah, they are. And so that's another reason why we're saying a big announcement here. Anyone who has any information on this, corporate, government contractor, military, other government agencies, currently or in the past, you can be fully immunized against all prosecution, no matter what, if you provide full disclosure of everything you know, the people involved, the locations, et cetera. And that is now on the table, operational. I will say that the flip side of it is people who are in those programs or have been in them who do not cooperate can be arrested and charged under RICO, Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization, as a co-conspirator and as having been involved, even if you didn't know the program was illegal. One of the things about RICO, the left hand doesn't have to know what the right hand's doing. So at this point, I'm telling people you need to come forward. There's protection in place. We will provide you direct to the people who can provide that immunization federally against all crimes and also protect you. But it needs to start picking up steam. I'm making a call and a request for more people to step forward because this is how it happens. So it has to be a big network of people, and it can't be 2 or 3 people. It needs to be dozens, if not hundreds of people come forward from all these different facilities, corporations, highly compartmented operations in the government. Now, I'm speaking now of U.S., but it can be overseas U.S., right? So it extends overseas if it's the United States, but there is no similar investigatory or criminal pursuit going on in other countries that I'm aware of. If they're going on, I don't know about them. But other countries are watching, right? You have your Five Eyes countries, they're watching. Canada, Australia, Great Britain, of course, New Zealand, less so, but they're called the Five Eyes countries that we share intelligence with. So they're watching. But I think that depending on how this goes here, it would have a sort of an elevating effect for interest that's in the European Union, the United Kingdom, and elsewhere, because they're watching this. At least the relationships I have overseas would indicate that they're watching what's going on here in the United States very keenly, and to see what kind of progress we make.
Dr. Greer, what's the relationship between this sort of front-facing effort in Congress? We're going to have hearings. We're going to, pass the disclosure bill. We're going to do et cetera, and this law enforcement effort that you're describing behind the scenes. Are these two totally separate investigations, or are these? Is there some overlap here?
They're separate totally, because having been very intimately involved with both. I'm in a very real way a senior advisor and intelligence source for the national security and federal law enforcement on this. But the congressional effort has gone sideways very badly, only because they don't have any staff who are really drilling down on this full time. And there have been a number of people who have gone up to cover up things like Mr. Herrera just shared, with that the Marine group, running into this craft that was man-made. They're going up there saying, we don't have anything that can operate that way. And as I said in the past, one of the main thrusts of a false disclosure, which is unfortunately what's picking up steam in Congress, it'd be a false disclosure, would be to cut out all of that. And that opens the door to, therefore, all things that look like a UAP UFO event, abductions, mutilations, injuries, they're all blamed on the aliens, right? And that is why that is happening. There's a full court press gaslighting people like Congressman Luna and Burchett and other people I've met with people who are going, oh, well, I've worked in this, and none of that is true, right? Well, it is true. But because they don't know, and they don't have a staff dedicated to doing an in-depth investigation, which is what initially they were supposed to get. But remember, the Senate Intelligence Committee and Armed Services wanted to have a staff of 20, 30 people drilling down on this through our intelligence network at the Disclosure Project and these hundreds of whistleblowers. They didn't do it. They never got the funding. The House asked for House oversight. Those guys wanted a subcommittee, select committee, I should say, that would have subpoena power. That was denied. The amnesty bill that came out of Senate Intelligence Committee, that when I was working with them a year and a half ago, that was cut out of the House reconciliation bill. And then they came up with this harebrained idea, oh, let's set up a panel, a UFO panel. Well, I know. Let me tell you how that will conclude before it gets going. It'll be a whitewash redux of the Condon Committee of 69, the Robertson Committee of 53, and the Arrow office that's been going for years, that's been engaging in nothing but the same old, same old. So
what's the definition of insanity? Remind me.
Yeah, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Now, the problem is when you have all these new people in Congress just looking into this, they don't have the institutional memory, let's call it, of what's happened over the 60 years I just referred to, from 53 to now, well, 70, 71 years, 72 years. So because of that, if you don't know the history, you're going to repeat it and make the same mistakes. But that's another problem, because all these members of Congress are so busy and they have no full-time staff devoted to this issue. So it's very easy for people who go in there who can flash credentials. Oh, I used to work for the Pentagon, like Mr. Elizondo, or I was here, or Chris Mellon, who worked on various national security issues, and say, oh, well, all this stuff. And they're actually perpetuating the myth and the cover-up that everything that you're seeing out there is alien or NHI or whatever the current flavor of the month is to call extraterrestrial vehicles and life forms. But I think that is a real problem, because, and that's why most people I know who are whistleblowers and witnesses are pivoting away from that, and now are moving over towards cooperating with this increasingly, let's just say, muscled up law enforcement investigation. And that I know that there are now several dozen people we have handed over as whistleblowers that are being pursued. But even that operation needs to get further supported. And ultimately, the really criminal activities that are going on at these facilities, they're not going to stop until there is some kind of executive order standing up under law enforcement, a type of team that would go in and take operational control of those facilities and stand those operations down. And if they don't, they're going to continue to shoot ET craft down. They're going to continue to abduct humans. They're going to continue to kill extraterrestrials. When they're captured, they're kept in underground bases, often interrogated and tortured. I'm talking about the non-human. And so, there's a whole, a plethora of huge problems that have to get addressed. And prosecuting people is only part of it, or getting investigating it. The other part of it is that how do you get those under control? And that's the other half of what we're working on. But that's going to require some significant funding and authorization to operate properly, unless through the criminal pursuit, that organization capitulates, right? And that could happen and says, okay, we're going to stop behaving this way. We're going to start a whole new chapter, which is what a lot of people are recommending. And the other thing that I think is going to have to happen is that the senior officials that are being blackmailed or threatened, the people doing that need to be arrested very quickly. And I don't want to name who they are. I know who they are. There's a couple in the current administration. There are others that are people in legacy programs that would actually like to come forward, but they are being threatened, or they have blackmail files on them, all kinds of illegal activity. So that kind of illegal activity really has to be stopped. And ongoing. I mean, my whole 30 some years of doing this, it's been one, atrocity after another that I observed or experienced, up to and including murder and intimidation and blackmail and theft and hacking and all kinds of stuff. So I think that, that's making progress. I don't think that Congress has configured yet a properly funded select committee with subpoena power to do anything other than a silly dog and pony show. I've been recommending that they do, but every time that tries to go up, last time I met with Congressman Burchett, he said, yeah, that's not going to happen. There are powerful people in here who are part of this conspiracy, frankly, who are in the Congress and in the Senate that keep batting that down. So I think the best you're going to get out of the Congress until the law enforcement and executive branch moves this forward more aggressively is sort of a bunch of half-truths and a dog and pony show of really no great significance. I'm sorry to be so negative about that, but I mean, that's how I see it, having been involved intimately with the people in Congress